There was the rumors that Jim Rutherford wanted out. I know you kind of weighed in on that. That ship has sailed or was never actually in the port?
Well, no, I don't think the rumor was necessarily wrong. Like, I think that the rumor was out there. Like, it wasn't like, it's not like in Simmons' column, it wasn't the only place I heard it.
Right.
But I figured, you know what, I'll just check and I'll ask. And he said that's not true. And the one thing I should have put in there that I didn't is that there's always a caveat now, and that is as long as his health is okay.
Right.
I mean, one of the reasons that he resigned in Pittsburgh was that, coming out of COVID, he'd been isolated for a long time. He was very careful during COVID. He's a little bit older. And I just think he wasn't in the best frame of mind. I think that's one of the reasons he resigned as GM of the Penguins. I think in this case, as long as his health stays okay, I don't think he plans on going anywhere. Like, I've said this to you before, Tim. Jim Rutherford wanted to be a GM in Canada for a long time. Mm-hmm. And now he has the opportunity, and I don't think he wants it to end like this.
Okay, so what's the checklist next for the Vancouver Canucks as we move along?
I think they'd like to do Boeser. I think that's something that they would like to do. I'm not convinced it's going to happen now. I think that they've been a lot more flexible in the beginning. I don't think they wanted to eat money, but now I think they might. They're willing to take back a contract as long as it's less term than Boeser, who's got a couple of years left. But I think they'd like to do Boeser, and I think the player, like watching Horvat go, and now he's like free, and he scores last night, and he gets the big ovation, and he says, "Oh, I've never had an ovation like that before." I've got to think if you're a guy like Boeser seeing all that, you'd like, okay, I'd like my situation to be over too, and I think the Canucks would like to do that. I don't know that it's going to happen now, but I think everybody there is really trying. But the one to me that is obvious and it's up front is Schenn. And, they have quite a bit of interest in Schenn. I think Calgary's there, even though their situation's a little bit uncertain right now. I think Boston's there. I think Toronto's been around there. And, I do think there's a push inside the organization. I wonder about the head coach, about keeping Schenn. But I think if they get what they want, and with all this interest, I think there's a good chance they get what they want. I think it's more likely that they deal him.
Were you around the Canucks' next captain in Florida?
I was around Pettersson in Florida. I really liked how he laid down while we were doing the interview. Like, we said to him, you can sit up or you can lie down. And yeah, he took the option to lie down. Like, yeah, somebody said to me, like, are you his psychiatrist? By the way, I want to say this. I had some complaints over my attire, that I was too dressed or I wasn't wearing flip-flops. Mm-hmm. I have to say to you, like, I think you kind of have to dress a certain way. But when I looked at the picture and I looked at the video, I was thinking, yeah, you know what? I agree with everyone who said that. I was definitely a little bit overdressed.
All right, so I'm hearing that Seth Jones and Patrick Kane did not practice today in Chicago. Anything there?
I think with Kane, like, I don't know about Jones, I have to say. I'm not sure about that one. Okay. I think, like, with Kane, I don't think it's like this means he's getting traded imminently or anything like that. Kane's playing hurt. And I think they're just being careful right now. Like, why have him practice if you don't need to practice? Like, one of the things that happened in Florida at the All-Star is I had a few players, Tim, saying to me that they think that Kane's really sucking it up to play. One, because he likes playing, and number two, because I think Chicago's kind of counting on what they can get for him in a deal. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's conserving things. Taves is the other one right now. He's got a non-COVID illness. He's missed a few games. I think today Luke Richardson said it was the flu, or flu-like, but they are trying to figure out exactly what's going on there too. I think with Taves and Kane, we're going to know how those two guys feel around the 20th of February. I think that's the approximate deadline day for the two of them to indicate what they're going to do. I think they both recognize their future is not in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to come down to how they feel about where they might want to go at that time.
For those wondering, the official explanations, Kane and Seth Jones out maintenance, and as Friedman mentions, Taves is out with an illness, non-COVID related. All right, so is there another team, and I know we've got some time here, the NBA trade deadline is tomorrow, that's more urgent. Is there another team out there that you're kind of keeping your eye on that may be able to make some noise or be a kingmaker here?
Well, I think everybody's always keeping their eye on Toronto. You know, Nick is a frequent guest of yours, and he wondered about could they potentially go for a goalie. I don't think they're going to do that unless it's something that, like, they have an AHL All-Star goalie, and they have another guy in Shalgren who has not had a good year in the AHL, but has been decent enough for them in the NHL. Like, they don't have a lot of room or items that they can really trade. They're limited in what they can do. I think unless they're really presented with something that's a tremendous upgrade in what they have, I don't think they're going in goal. I do think they want to add a forward. I do think they want to add a defenseman. You know, if you I went back and I rewatched that game against Boston today, the last one before the deadline, and Boston gave them the last one before the All-Star game. And Boston gave them a lot of trouble in their own zone. And you know you're going to get Boston in Tampa if you want to get out of your division. I think they're very interested in doing their blue line, and I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to try to find the best possible defenseman and the best possible forward within the constraints of what they can do. And I believe that's their goal. And because they're the Maple Leafs and they suck up the most oxygen, I think that's the team we're all kind of wondering about.
Okay, so before I let you go, you didn't mention Thatcher Demko's name with the Canucks. You don't believe that he would be going in and around this deadline?
I just wonder, Tim, you know, he hasn't played yet. We're 3 weeks away from the deadline. I do think he could go at some point, maybe in the summer, but I just don't know if there's enough runway right now, so I'm not as sure that's going to happen with him. He's got to play, and he's got to convince people he's healthy. Are we going to have enough runway for that?
We only have 30 seconds here, and I think it's unfair, but I think the All-Star game or weekend kind of sort of took a beating, at least north of the border.
Yes, it did.
Are we going to make or see some significant changes to this because of the beating that it took?
I have been told it is a priority to make it better. So, yes, we are going to see changes. You know, the other thing, too, Tim,
that's
is
a whole segment. Like, how do we make the All-Star weekend better?
Yes, and this year the game outdrew the skills in Canada. That never happens.